All right, this one is a doozy. The release of filmmaker Pahlaj Jha's upcoming production, Lipstick Under My Burkha, starring Konkana Sen and Ratna Pathak Shah, has hit a roadblock after the CBFC refused to even certify the movie. Listing the reasons for the denial of certificate, the CBFC in a letter wrote, and I quote now, "I'm not making this up, believe you me. The story is too lady-oriented." We'll try and decipher that in just a bit. Take a look at the story.
खंडहर से घर के एक बंद कमरे में रोजी कैद थी, अपने जवां रंगी अरमानों के साथ बिल्कुल अकेली।
पहले नाम बताओ अपना।
बुआ जी।
The Sanskaari Censor board is at it again.
पर्दे बड़े मोटे थे, अंधेरे में रोजी को कोई देख नहीं पाता।
लेकिन इतनी फिल्मों को सर्टिफिकेट दिया, कोई उसकी बात नहीं करता है। जो फिल्म ऑब्जेक्शनेबल होगी, जिसको सर्टिफिकेट यूनानिमस रिफ्यूज किया गया है, चाहे वो ईसी हो चाहे आरसी हो, और प्रोड्यूसर के पास अभी भी ऑप्शंस बहुत है, ही कैन गो द कोर्ट।
The CBFC has outrightly refused to give a go-ahead to Pahlaj Jha's upcoming movie, Lipstick Under My Burkha.
So I feel the conversation is much larger, and it's not really just about Bollywood or just a particular film. It's about a society that is not wanting to give space to women.
Not the first time. Pahlaj Nihalani has been in news for all the wrong reasons before.
A film like this, when it does come along, certainly rattles a part of our society. But that's what cinema is supposed to do, isn't it? We are supposed to be talking about what's happening around us.
But what appears absurd is CBFC's reason to not certify the film.
And I don't want to sit in judgment of Mr. Pahlaj Nihalani. He is what he is. Let him think what he thinks. For me, it is the decision of the Central Board of Film Certification, and I will challenge that judgment.
With its outright denial to certify the movie, the CBFC has once again resorted to chopping off whatever it deems unsanskari.
First of all, I'm tired of this, community's sentiments getting hurt. What are we supposed to make? Are we supposed to publish scripts first, beforehand? Ask public opinion? Bhai kisi ke sentiment to hurt nahi ho rahe hain. Now can we make this movie?
It's a grave situation that we are in, and I'm glad that everyone's standing together for this thing. And also, पता है सबसे अजीब बात यह है कि हर तीसरे महीने ये होता है.
While Pahlaj Nihalani has often tried being the moral guardian of the Indian culture, even James Bond wasn't spared. The question is whether sex, feminism, and exploring women's fantasies are taboo in our society. Bureau Report, NewsX.
All right, joining us tonight is Ashoke Pandit. He's a member of the CBFC, also a filmmaker. He joins us from Mumbai. Sudhir Misra, filmmaker, also joins us from Mumbai. He's directed movies like Hazaro Khwaishe Aisi and many others. Sonal Jha is an actor, I believe, also joining us from Mumbai. Syed Inayatullah, he's the Vice President of All India Mili Council. He joins us from Chennai. And Sushant Singh, also an actor who's featured in the movie and has been speaking to us throughout the... From Mumbai, Syed Inayatullah, he's the Vice President of All India Mili Council. He joins us from Chennai. And Sushant Singh, also an actor who's featured in the movie and has been speaking to us throughout the day, is part of the panel as well. Thank you all for being with us. Before I come to you, gentlemen and ladies, I'd like to go across to the INB Minister. The MOS INB, Mr. Rajavardhan Singh Rathore, joins us right now. Thank you, Mr. Minister, for joining us. Let me start by asking you, what do you make of the controversy surrounding the ban of the movie Lipstick Under My Burkha? We are being told, and by now the entire country knows, that the CBFC has refused even to certify the movie, the only job they have.
See, I don't think so there should be any controversy, because there is a system in place. Let me just try and explain. So CBFC is there, which is certification of, for film certification. Then there is FCAT, which is the Appellate Tribunal for Film Certification. Within the CBFC, there's a examining committee, and then there's a reviewing committee. So these are the various places available for a filmmaker to show his film and then get it approved and get the certification that they want. If the examining committee does not give them a certificate which they're happy with, they can always appeal to the reviewing committee. If the reviewing committee also does not give them a certificate that they're happy with, that means the entire CBFC is not given them a certificate, then they can always apply it to the appellate tribunal. So this is, if I can explain in very simple words, you go to a lower court, you're not happy with it, you go to the higher court. So this is all part of the system. Now, what is the controversy? The people again and again keep talking about the government intervention in trying to have a certain ideology of films, which I can't understand, because most of the films are getting passed in the FCAT. Now, both the FCAT, which is the Appellate Tribunal, and the Film Certification Board have both been placed by this same government. So most of the films are getting passed by FCAT. In the government, we are not at all concerned with the functioning of these two establishments, and these two institutions work on themselves.
Mr. Rathore, I believe the process, of course, is well known, and we've spoken to the film crew, the producers, and the director of the movie as well, and they've, of course, told her that they've asked for a review committee, and the review committee screened the movie, and they sent it back. Now, the basis, the controversy, or the basis of why the Film Certification Board is refusing to certify the movie, and I'm not making this up right now, the note says, and I quote, the film is too lady-oriented, whatever that means, and that girls from good families don't think about sex. That's the implication here. We're living in 2017, sir. Isn't this just plain ignorant? If not ignorant, then hypocritical?
Look, you and I and a lot of people commenting on it, probably we haven't seen the film. Now, there are humans in the board who've seen the film. There are ladies in the board who've seen the film. If we were to replace these people, we would replace them with humans as well. So there would be somebody taking a decision on it. Now, that decision may be good, may be acceptable to the rest of us, or may not be acceptable to the rest of us, and that's why there's a mechanism of appealing to somebody higher. There would always be some of the other person taking a judgment on by their own decisions.
And I can assure you that the film crew and the producers are going to the FCAT to try to give their case. But from, these controversies are not new, Mr. Rathore. From Urta Punjab to Bar Bar Dekho, the board's decisions have been heavily criticized. They allow movies like Masti Zade, but they cut short James Bond kissing his leading lady. Isn't that selective and, as some would say, arbitrary?
No, that's the interesting part. Why don't you just pick up, probably it'll be available on the internet, or I'll provide you tomorrow itself, the entire list of the cuts which were made pre-2014. Every year, the cuts are as much as they are now. But we are of the opinion that they should be as less as possible. And that's why, in regard to the government, both when Mr. Jaitley was there, the minister, and now when Mr. Venkaiah Naidu is there as the minister, have taken the decision that the board needs to be more liberal, needs to be more contemporary. If not liberal, may not be the right word, but let them be contemporary. And if in today's time, when there are different methods available for people to see films of different genres, then let the people decide. In fact, like you mentioned, Masti Zade is one such example. Why stop a film? Why let the people decide what film they should be seeing?
You mentioned, of course, before I did, that the government has been criticized. Many pointed fingers at the central government for letting this go on, for not taking action against the board. Should we then presume that the board is not getting the message that you just very eloquently described for us?
Well, let me give you another example. The previous film, Urta Punjab, they went to the High Court. They went to the High Court because the appellate tribunal was not available at that point of time. The High Court, there were about 6 main cuts, out of which the High Court decided in its judgment to keep one scene out of the film. That was of a person urinating on a wall. Now, that is in the judgment of the High Court, that scene needed to be kept out. There will always be a subjective analysis of any of the film scenes that is to be deleted or to be not deleted. That's what I'm saying. Whoever you replace the board with, there will always be humans. There's going to be a subjective judgment there. Now, what we are trying to do is change the rules there. so that it becomes easier for the board to work. Now, we had placed Shyam Benegal committee, and there was also Justice Mudgal committee earlier. The Shyam Benegal committee, if I can simply say that we've divided the suggestions into two parts. One is a part that can be taken care of by a new act, and the other is by changing the rules of within the ministry. Now, we will immediately act on changing the rules, bringing certain new rules, making the rules simpler for the board members to judge. So whoever the person is in the board, it gets easier for them to judge when they have a certain set of simplistic rules available with them. And we will do so as soon as possible. Well, there's also a system that whenever rules change...
Mr. Rathod, does this procedure or this move towards a far more liberal board include or involve changing those who are running the board currently? And this is going to be my last question to you. I know you have to go. Go ahead, Mr. Rathod.
Like I said, you may change the people. With different sets of people, there'll be different subjective decisions that they will take. But what is more important is there is a set of rules that they work on be made in a more simplistic manner, which allows them to work in a certain direction. That is what we are changing. The people in the board have a set duration of a tenure. So we will probably allow them to work in that tenure. I think this is 3 years or a certain period. They work in that period, and then we bring in a fresh board.
All right, Mr. Rathod, MOS INB, thank you so much for joining us. I do thank you for your time and speaking to NewsX. We move on now to our panel, and I hope the panel was listening in. Sudhir Misra, Ashoke Pandit, Sonal Jha, and Syed Inayatullah. Sudhir Misra, let me come straight to you right now. What has surprised and astounded many, and I've been speaking to the film crew, the actors as well, since last night, and what nobody can fathom, Mr. Misra, is the kind of language being used in the note that was given to the film producers, that the film is quote-unquote lady-oriented. Now, I don't know what that means. I assume whoever was writing that meant it's a women-oriented movie, but I thought that was supposed to be a good thing.
I thought so too. I mean, if my friend Pahlaj Jha and this brilliant young girl, Alankrita, who's made this film, was in so much trouble, I'd be on the floor laughing, I mean, I guess, they're displaying a certain subjectivity which displays a certain bias that you shouldn't make films that are women-oriented. I mean, what are they saying? I think there needs to be a workshop for the panel that sits on judgment on a film. Their responsibilities need to be defined to them. Their role needs to be defined. They need to be told very clearly. I think they've been told many times before that you are not here to put your subjective bias on a film, or you may come from a certain value system. You may please keep it at home. All you need to do is to certify the film. You need to inform people of the kind of content they will view if they buy a ticket for the film. Who is to certify the film? You need to inform people of the kind of content they will view if they buy a ticket for the film.
Absolutely.
That's all they need to do, and that's their job. I mean, I think people who are there in the system there needs to be a workshop with legal experts, with psychologists, with minds.
No, Sudhir.
Because it's a new, changing, evolving
absolutely.
country. And I think they've displayed their bias when they say ladies, because I think the film was about fantasies of women or the desires of women, which are not merely sexual.
Absolutely. Sudhir, no arguments there.
But are we not allowed? It's about time they spoke.
Sudhir, what astounded me, of course, was not just the kind of words that were used. And since then, the CEO, Anurag Srivastava of CBFC, has come out with all kinds of theories and defenses on why the wording has been used. He claims he's understaffed, so on and so forth. I'm not interested in that. What I'm more interested in is, because immediately when the story broke, Sudhir Misra, last night, I spoke to the director, Alankrita Srivastava, and she said that she believed, and perhaps most of the crew believed, that this is a certain patriarchal sense that is kicking in right now, that it exists in our society, that it resistance to change, and that is resistant to any woman trying to say what she feels like or what she wants. Now, That is completely, I bought that completely, but I was shocked to know there were 5 women on the screening panel who put their foot down and decided that this movie is not fit for certification. I mean, that's completely dumbfounding me right now. How can women, 5 of them, on the board think this is an anti-woman movie?
Yeah, but, you know, women have been used. Well, women become kind of agents of patriarchy, and it's often happened, you know. I mean, so I mean, it's bizarre, but you know, I mean, they need. I mean, for example, fantasy or reality or whatever the words used. I mean, what is pornography? These are all, I mean, highly judgmental sentences, words used in this note, which is very insulting to filmmakers, to a lot of people, and especially people of stature of Prakash and a brilliant young girl like. So the industry needs to, I mean, it needs to get together. I mean, actually this conversation is becoming boring because we have this, you know, conversation every time some problem occurs, and then we go back to the same. So I guess the industry needs to step in, and I think it is, you know, it's time people are, you know, because the idea of disagreement with any film that we make is perfectly valid. Please disagree with it, but allow it to be seen.
Absolutely.
You know, I mean,
Let
I
the
don't know why
audience
they are
decide.
not getting this simple,
Let the
basic
audience
fact.
decide.
We
I
do
believe
not-
audiences are mature enough in this
I mean,
country.
yeah, and isn't this basic?
Yes.
Isn't this basic? You know, I mean, and are you why are you trying to scare off young, brave, brilliant young filmmakers and let them express themselves? You know,
No, I also want to go across to other
debate it
panelists.
then
Sudhir
with
Misra,
them,
stay
that
with
you
us.
know, disagree with them. Who's saying don't?
Stay with us, stay with us. Ashok Pandit joins us. He's a member of the CBFC and also has been at loggerheads in the past as well with the current regime there. Mr. Pandit, you've come out and said, and I'm going to quote you right now, that this is an arrogant decision, and you've also said other things as well. Ashok, I believe Ashok can't hear me right now. We've just lost his connection there. So I'll go across then to Sonal Jha. Sonal Jha is an actor. Sonal, thankfully, the majority of the film fraternity is coming out in support of the movie, but the reasons given by the CBFC, of course, do not pass muster. It is my understanding that the film's crew is now going to go back to the FCAT, the tribunal, and that's their best shot right now. But why do you think that people in the CBFC, people like Mr. Nihalani, who was known as the king of B-grade cinema in his heyday as a financer, as a producer-director, and produced movies which had certain titles which are double entendres to begin with, had certain epic lines like Sarkai Log Khatiya and what all, can sit in judgment of a movie which has been considered as a feminist movie, as a pro-woman movie, and say, oh, look, we don't think people should watch this. I mean, this is the height of double standards.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Actually, a person like Pahlaj Nihalani, who is sitting on the board and deciding about the future of a film which is so progressive, and I wouldn't say feminist film, it's a film about 4 women who are trying to find extraordinary moment in their life and who are trying to create some kind of liberating space in their life. So, Mr. Pahlani को अपने गिरबान में झांकना चाहिए और देखना चाहिए कि किस तरह के संस्कारी संस्कृति को उन्होंने बढ़ावा दिया है आज तक, और अब सडनली उनका ये संस्कारी संस्कृति इतना जोर क्यों मार रहा है कि वो क्यों ऐसी वो कह रहे हैं ऐसी फिल्में जो कि हमारे वुमेन वॉइस को बहुत ही फोर फ्रंट पे लाता है, उसके खिलाफ वो क्यों खड़े हो रहे हैं, मुझे भी नहीं समझ में आता है। और मुझे आश्चर्य ये भी लगता है कि इस तरह की मानसिकता वाले लोग हमारे सेंसर बोर्ड में कैसे बैठे हुए।
दुख की बात तो ये भी है सोनल कि 5 महिलाएं हैं जिन्होंने ये पिक्चर देखी है और उन्होंने भी यही डिसाइड किया है कि ये लोगों को पिक्चर देखनी नहीं चाहिए फॉर वन रीजन और द अदर। दैट्स कंप्लीटली I can't fathom it now. I also want to go across to Mr. Inayatullah, who's been watching and listening intently. Mr. Inayatullah, one of the reasons that the CBFC, the censor board, has given for not giving a certification to this movie is because a couple of protagonists in the movie happen to belong to a particular community. Now, they've quoted that this might be sensitive to a lot of people. But the fact of the matter is not all protagonists are from that community. 2 of the protagonists are from the majority community. Do you really believe a movie depicting what I can only assume is real life and real fantasies, real urges, real dreams of women living in India can actually hurt anyone.
First of all, I have not seen the movie, but anyway, I could get from the objections 1 to 5 they have given. See, nowadays, in our India culture is getting westernized. Slowly, we are going to western side. We are forgetting our own culture. We have our own values. We have our own secularism. We have our own brotherhood with all other religions. So here, we should not show any movie, any picture of hurting men or women, hurting maybe in some community or some other not just some other community.
Mr. Inayatullah, if you haven't seen the movie, how can you presume, Mr. Inayatullah, if you haven't seen the movie, how can you presume it is hurting any sentiments? Yes. Isn't that being presumptuous and judgmental for no reason at all? You haven't seen the movie.
Actually, first of all, I said I haven't seen. The thing is, but the title itself, lipstick in the burkha. So what is that? I don't understand. Why you are bringing the lipstick, why you are bringing the burkha, and I don't understand. Unless otherwise I see the movie, I cannot comment on that particular movie. But overall, in general, my request to all the producers, all the directors of the Hollywood or Bollywood, whoever they are.
Expression. And if your contention is that Muslim ladies who wear a burqa have never tried on a lipstick, I don't think you're living in the real world, sir.
See, first of all, Muslim ladies, they are not supposed to have the lipstick. But unfortunately, I know there are Muslim ladies, they are having the lipstick. That they have to understand, that they should not. But why this is all being exposed in the public? See, any movie, we have to sit with the family members and watch. See, movies of entertainment or some moral teaching or some action, some comedy, something will be there. But here, certain movies are there where we family members, we cannot together sit and watch the movie of this type, of this lipstick.
So that's exactly why we are saying, Mr. Inayatullah, the film board, the certification board can give it an A rating, and that would mean only adults can watch it. I think adults should be given the chance to decide what they watch, what they can't watch. Now, if you don't want to take your family to watch this movie, don't take the family. Don't even watch the movie yourself. But do not infringe upon the right of others to watch the movie, and that's only what I'm trying to say to the censor board today. You know, I also want to go back to Sudhir Misra on this one. Now, Sudhir Misra, the fact is, Mr. Inayatullah said right now, why do you want to take the lid off of what might happen in society right now? But that's exactly what filmmaking is all about, isn't it? It's art mirroring reality. It's nobody's contention that
one kind of filmmaking is about that. It's a job of filmmakers sometimes to provoke, to ask questions.
Absolutely.
It's not necessary that you agree with them. She's talking about the dreams, aspirations, hopes, fantasies, and fantasy is the material which filmmakers work with. It's as real as reality. And please watch her film, please debate with her, please disagree with her. You know, just don't infringe on her right, that's all as a filmmaker, that's all there is. And there is a real patriarchal tone to what the gentleman's saying.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's all there is, and there is a real patriarchal tone to what the gentleman's saying.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's the 21st century, and I don't know, but we simultaneously live in many. And I guess I'm glad this debate is taking place. I'm glad Alankrita has made a film like this. I'm glad it provokes a discussion. I'm glad there is I mean, that's the job of filmmakers, and sometimes, when these debates happen, the film does more than just, talk as a film.
Going back to the role of the film board here,
in society,
going back to the role of the CBFC, I want to ask Ashoke Pandit, who's rejoined us. Ashok, thank you for joining us again. We lost you in the middle. You've called this decision an arrogant one. Is there any justification? Now, Mr. Nihalani has cited guidelines. Isn't the only job of the censor board, I beg your pardon, the CBFC, to certify movies? How can they not certify movies and say we will not even give you a certification?
You know, Athar, what is the tragic part of this entire issue is that when I see as a filmmaker that the intentions and integrity and dignity of a film producer like Pahlaj Jha and Alankrita is questioned. You say that you have not made a film which is worth watching in this country. That is what is more hurting. I don't want to make a film for Pahlaj Nihalani. I don't want to make a film which only Mr. Pahlaj Nihalani, would like. And what sanskar are we talking about? I don't identify with the sanskar of Mr. Pahlaj Nihalani. And you said, and I heard Rathod Sahab talking about that the government is not involved in it. Nobody is talking about the government. This problem has arisen from Kissa Kursika days. The problem here is that a chairman of a CBFC who's supposed to certify the film cannot challenge my integrity and my intention and my love towards my country and my people and tell me that this film is not worth watching it. And the issue which you said that there were 5 women in the screening who said that the film should not be shown. Sudhir gave you an answer of that very subtly. Nobody can confront Mr. Pahlaj Nihalani. Now I want to ask you one question. Pahlaj Nihalani was on the revising board watching this film. I am in Bombay on a board as a board member. Can you believe till today I have not seen more than one film. I am not complaining about it. So the entire thing is very wishy-washy because he knows that I have a different mindset. I believe in progressiveness, and if I see the film, the thing should have been different. There is Chandra Prakash Trivedi, there are other board members, but most of the films are watched as a board member, as a revising committee head.
No. Ashok, since you're a member of the CBFC, I would like you to answer one question, because the larger public who's watching our program right now also need to know this, and I'm also unclear on the details here. When we confronted Mr. Nihalani, he said this is procedure. We haven't done anything we haven't done before. The film went to a review process screening committee. They rejected it there as well. Now I believe Alankrita and Mr. Pahlaj Jha are going to go to the FCAT because that's the only way they can go. What is it in the guideline that gives Mr. Nihalani the power to reject certification? And when he claims he is undergoing a due process, is he being completely honest?
No, this is not, it's not like a bank where the checks are realized. It's a mindset. It's a mind game. That and the tragedy is that he himself is a producer. He himself is a filmmaker. If it would have been some IAS officer, then would have understood that the mindset is different, and he doesn't want that such films to be. There are 4 intelligent women in the film. The director is an educated director. There are best possible actors who are performing in the film. They are not fools. The writer is not a fool. What rules and regulations are we talking about? If you can release Masti-Zadeh, then I think any film of this country has to be cleared. There's no question. You give an adult certificate or suggest some cuts. And Athar, what happens is the films get cleared in FCAT, it gets cleared in High Court. I think there can never be a bigger insult to the CBFC when the films are
so let me ask you
and the High Court. It's a question to our intelligence.
At the heart of it, Sudhir Misra, at the heart of it,
it is indirectly raising questions on my mindset as a
absolutely. I want to come to that. Sudhir Misra, at the heart of it, I think we already discussed this, but I think it's worth repeating. At the heart of it is this. I don't want to use the word, but I have left with no choice. This middle class morality. As some people term it, really. Sanskaari morality, or whatever you want to call it. The trailer for this movie begins with the words, "That moment comes in every girl's life when her desire to become a woman awakens," quote unquote. Now, do you think the fact that this is a gritty, realistic movie that depicts very real issues, has very real characters that people can relate to, and does not beat around the bush in a coy manner, which is something the Indian audiences are used to because of Bollywood or masala or whatever, is the fact that why people in the CBFC are kind of frightened?
Yeah, and Ashok is dead right. It's the mindset of those there. It's not the mindset of the audience. The audience is adult enough to see it. There is a They are the dreams. I think the key word there is lady oriented, which means what women want is a no-no. I mean, if the women have desires like normal men dreams, sexual or otherwise fantasies, and if a filmmaker explores that, and it is explored in a very bright, individualistic, sensitive. I mean, there are very, very talented people involved. Konkana, as an actor, is an outstanding actor who would never do a part which kind of demeans anything or insult anyone. There are very responsible people involved, but that said, I think every film should be passed. I think every film, I mean, because otherwise the element of subjectivity comes in, except those films which may cause a flare-up between communities, and that judgment may be left to people better, like a Supreme Court judge. But beyond that, I don't think there should be any censorship, because otherwise there is an element of subjectivity. I like this, I don't like this. You make a film about Mahatma Gandhi, I love him, I love to disagree with him, I think he was great, I don't think he was great in some ways, but I totally adore him. But if you make a film against him, I would, say fight for your right to do so. I mean, this is what debate is about, and I think it's what I like about this, what has happened as an unintended consequence, is that it's putting up that debate up. Too long have we made films which explore women from a male gaze.
Absolutely. And
we have insulted women in films, and those have been shown.
I think that's part of the problem why some people cannot digest a woman filmmaker trying to explore women's sexuality in a manner that perhaps hasn't been tried too many times before, and the direct manner in which the film tries to explore very real feelings that women might have in the country. Now, Ashoke Pandit wants to come in very quickly, then I'll go to Sonal Jha, and then we'll wrap up after that. Go ahead, Ashok.
Absolutely.
Athar, we have seen women-oriented films earlier also, like Madhur Bhandarkar's Fashion, Chandni Bar, Page 3. Sudhir has made brilliant films, women-oriented films. There has never been this kind of a problem. You ask for certain cuts, and this is a country where we are talking about Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao. And we don't allow Alankrita to make a film the way she wants to make a film. You don't allow Konkana Sen Sharma to perform this role. You don't allow Ratna Pathak Shah to play this role. On one side, our Prime Minister is taking the country to somewhere else, to the height of these kind of concepts. And here there is a filmmaker, a woman filmmaker, and you are taking away the right from her to make a film which she wants to make. This is a tragedy.
All right. Inayatullah, before I end with Sonal Jha, would you like to once again try and recap for our viewers what exactly your objection to this movie is? Because to this date, sir, I seriously cannot pinpoint any one particular point that should give anyone any cause or reason not to let this movie be released or certified.
I would like to recollect the Vishwarupam movie was taken by our great Kamal Hassan in Tamil Nadu, and we objected to it. We didn't ask that to block the movie itself and not to certify the movie. We just had to take out some scenes where which hurts the community.
The censor board is not even willing to do that. That's my exact problem.
So
the censor board usually recommends a cut. They haven't even given space for that dialogue.
It is like that.
They have said we will not certify.
It is like that. Here also some scenes. It is like that.
They have said we will not certify.
It is like that. Here also some scenes, objectionable scenes, objectionable dialogue, whatever is there, that you can remove it and you can give the certificate. Not that you can block the certificate. Not
that's exactly the point, sir. That's what we are debating about. Mr. Nihalani doesn't seem to listen. He seems to be living in a world where Sanskar rules the roost, and what kind of Sanskar even Ashoke Pandit can't understand, and he's the same member of the CBFC. Now, Sonal Jha, last word to you right now. Would you say that Mr. Nihalani and the board, which includes 5 women who watched the movie and deemed it to be not good enough to be given a certificate, need to somehow come back to reality and admit that their warped version of what is moral or immoral, what is sanskari or what is not, will not fly anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's high time that women should tell their story in their own way, and nobody should decide what can be seen by adult audience. I think I really feel bad and disappointed by decision of BFC.
Right, and of course, we do hope that Mr. Nihalani comes, really at least starts looking at movies outside the perspective of sanskar or what he deems is moral enough for society or for audiences to watch. I believe India in the 21st century is progressive. We might not be perfect, but we're trying. Thank you, Sudhir Misra, for joining us, Mr. Inayatullah, Ashoke Pandit and Sonal Jha. We'll take a very short break right now, but when we come back after the break, one of the leading stars of the movie Lipstick Under a Burkha, Ratna Pathak Shah, joins us, and we'll talk to her about her reactions to the refusal of the CBFC to give her film a certification. Take a short break, come right back, lots more left.